Hello everyone. Welcome to the November edition of our AdminStudio's Application Packaging Experts Roundtable. Before we get started, we have a little bit of a housekeeping. So everybody is muted for the entire session, and whenever you have something to ask, there is an Q&A section in your panel. You'll be able to type in anything and send it to us, and we are happy to take any questions throughout the context throughout the session, as long as it's contextual to the topic, or if there is anything unanswered during the session, we're happy to take it at the end of the session. And after the event is done, a video will be provided to all the attendees who have joined us. Before we get started, a quick introduction about myself and today's speakers. This is Venkat Ramdonga, and I'm the Product Management Director at Flexera, overseeing our application readiness solutions as AdminStudio. I'm also joined by my co-C, or Mike O'Connor. He's our Senior Solution Engineer working for AdminStudio. Here's what we have roughly for today's agenda. We're going to skim through something that we haven't published in a while. We have sent registrations, but here's what we have in the agenda for today. We wanted to run you through, since it's the end of the year, we wanted to run it through an year in review, where we'll be able to help you understand what you've been working on for the entire year, and we'll also be giving you a little bit of an overview of what we're currently working on, which is not yet released, as well as in Q4 of 2024. And we'll quickly touch base on some of our topics which are hot favorites all the time: automating the application packaging process, and quick insights and overview as to how you can actually do that via AdminStudio. Um, and one of the features we love is backlog management. We're going to talk about, Mike here is going to talk about how backlog management is going to help you with application packaging process, and how it is very akin to a typical SDLC processes to manage your packaging backlog. And then, though we say Q&A to the end, feel free to drop in your questions at any point of the time during the webinar, and we're happy to take it, as long as it's contextual to the topic. And any unanswered questions will be followed up, by us, to you. Victoria, I'm having difficulty navigating the slides.
It's moved to the next one.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Slide are we on?
Yeah, I see the year in review bullets.
Okay. Can you go to the next one as well, Mike? I can't seem to push it.
We want to cover the year in review, correct?
Right. So we're seeing all the bullets for the year in review?
Yes, we are. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. All right. All right. So here is what we have broadly summarized the work that we have done and the features that we've added in 2024. And happy that the list is so elaborate and actually covers the entire breadth of what AdminStudio provides and how we try to solve the packages problems. So let's go one by one and try to understand what you have done in this year. In the first section, you will look at the prepare your packages theme, where we are so proud of how we help you enable your packages, getting them ready to be deployed in your environment. As part of the step, we have a new feature added to AdminStudio this year, which is the AppV to MSIX migration, or the AppV to MSIX conversion. So this goes on the backdrop of how Microsoft has announced an end of life to AppV in somewhere in April 2026, and we felt this is the right time for anybody to get onto the MSIX journey and start your conversion processes of your existing packages to MSIX packages wherever you can, right? Because you cannot continue to stay on AppV like forever because of the end of life announcement. At the same time, depending upon your situation and your organization alignment to either use MSIX or a conventional technology like MSI, this feature plays an important role in ensuring that you're not left in the dark with a legacy technology. And this technology is a very simple wizard, that is built in AdminStudio, where it relies on an existing, proven technology from Microsoft, where you just input the AppV package and an MSIX spread. And in the process, the MSIX package is also digitally signed, which is a mandatory requirement for the package. We have uh, capabilities to include either a digital signing certificate, or use additional signing information from the certificate store the within the machine itself. There are a couple of options we're also looking at, for future releases, where we can start looking at advanced digital signing options. So we'll talk about that in next edition of Roundtable. And the next item in the list that we have, you'd see a star mark here, which is support for new app model properties for configuration manager. This is currently underway, but still we wanted to share with you in all transparency. This is currently planned for a Q4 2024 release. Three more options are being added to the app model, for MSI packages, or MSI packages, or any application that supports configuration manager. So these properties are an optional reference property, and an owner's property, and supported contacts property. So these properties are, I think, free text fields available in the app model, and you would be able to edit these fields and publish them to your SCCM. And last one is something that keeps helping your preparation of the package with respect to automation as well. Sometimes you would like to parameterize some of the properties that are available in the options. A couple of options are output directory and content locations. By enabling the variable support for these properties, you'll be able to better organize your directory structures. Either you can use a package name or a version, or any of that for that matter, to ensure that the proper resolution happens, and items are placed soon after the repackaging process is done. They're placed properly in your directories. Moving on to the next theme, which is the publish and deploy packages. This is the first time we have ventured into this space around the ability for AdminStudio to not just being a preparation tool or an application readiness tool, but also getting into how we can help you deploy packages to endpoint management systems directly from AdminStudio. So the first endpoint management system that we've taken is Intune, and starting 2024, I think this is a feature that we released in R1. We now have the capability to deploy a package directly from Intune, directly from AdminStudio as soon as you publish it. So in Intune, there are an entity called assignments that you have to actually create in order for the package to be deployed. So you now have the facility to create these assignments right within AdminStudio, define which groups would like to be assigned a package to either be installed or uninstalled for that particular package. And as soon as you finish your application processing, or the publish, during the process of published, package will actually be deployed to Intune as well, to the corresponding machines. So I'd like to get some feedback from those who have joined us today. If this falls into your area, or you actually are responsible for the deployment to the endpoints as well. If it is, just drop a note if you would like to help us understand help this help you help us understand this feature a little more, so that we can engage with you, understand if there is additional use cases that we like to solve. A couple of items that Intune supports as far as deployment are concerned, which is I'd like to schedule a particular deployment, I'd like to install it at a particular time, or I'd like to be installed immediately. So these are certain additional functionality we're exploring for in the future. If this is of interest, just drop in your interest in the Q&A, and we're happy to look at it. And the next item in here is about the ability to update applications and keeping the latest version in Configuration Manager. This is particularly useful when you have the same application family, and you always want to be on the latest, but then you keep preparing the same set of application, same application but a different version whenever a new version comes in. So both your AdminStudio's catalog and configuration manager are kind of cluttered with respect to the older versions of the same application. So this particular item would help you declutter all of your configuration manager view, where you'd be able to say, hey, update an application, and the latest version would actually replace the older version and just keep it decluttered. And since you are anyways interested in only maintaining the latest version of the application configuration manager, it becomes really easy for whoever is trying to create a collection and deploy it to the endpoint, for them to stay on the latest version and use it for all practical purposes. If there is interest to actually look at the older versions, they're always available in the AdminStudio's application catalog, and you go ahead and update. Publish an older application version as well, without using the update application option. The next one in this particular theme around the publish and deploy is the a convenient wizard that helps you migrate from configuration manager to Intune. So this is one particular item we keep hearing from our users is hey, we are on this journey where we are currently using configuration manager. However, the future is Intune, and we'd like to migrate from configuration manager to Intune as soon as possible. At the same time, we also want to ensure that everything that I can do with AdminStudio, okay, I should be able to do for all of these applications as well. So we have implemented this particular wizard where you'd be able to not just migrate a single application, but you'll also be able to migrate applications in bulk from your SSEM instance, okay, to Intune. This is also particularly useful if you have an Intune in Intune's UAT environment, you'd like to test a few packages and have them imported into AdminStudio as well. So though the wizard looks like it is lifting and shifting items from configuration manager to Intune, we also transfer those applications into application catalog of AdminStudio, so that if there is a particular need to go ahead and edit a particular application as a post facto operation, you'll be able to do that right within AdminStudio. So so this would help. This option should really help you to fast track your configuration manager to Intune. And I think we also have some options about to repackage any applications from configuration manager to Intune, and if you want to convert them into Intune Win formats along the way, the wizard would actually take care of the entire process. So a single wizard to lift and shift your apps from configuration manager to Intune, and also convert them into the Intune Win format along the way. And the next item in here is about running custom scripts in configuration manager itself. Post publish. This is a particularly tricky one, for me and engineering. However, we have implemented this in AdminStudio, where the real use case here is about hey, I would like to publish something to configuration manager. However, there is a set of repetitive operations I actually do in configuration manager as soon as I publish something. So the need was to say, hey, can I actually run a script in the configuration manager machine as soon as the publish operation is done? So we now have implemented a feature where you'll be able to input a script and it gets published along with the package, metadata and everything. And there's also a capability for the script to actually run in the SCCM machine, so that you can help automate your processes, automate your post-publish processes in the SCCM machine. So this is a particularly handy feature for those who are completely hands-on and would like to automate everything around your packaging processes. Moving on to the next item, which is test your packages. So everybody using AdminStudio by now should know that we have tons of testing available as static testing in AdminStudio, right? Which is name it compatibility testing, or conflict testing, or tests that validate for best practices, or tests that validate and show compatibility testing results for Windows 11 and everything, right? Uh, though we're so proud of how this can help you make a good decision that an application is would be able to run seamlessly in a given operating system. There's always this small hesitancy that hey, what, does a install or uninstall or actual launch of the application really work or not, right? So we venture into this space of try and see how we can actually get that confidence in you by including the option of a functional testing during your packaging process. So there is a new option to test package, where you would be able to run three sets of operations to begin with, which is is my package installing fine? Am I able to at least launch my package, right? If it could be a simple package like Adobe Reader, right? And in the machine configuration that I have, okay, if I list launch Adobe Reader, does it completely crash, or is it launching fine, and I'll be able to track that this application is running fine. Beyond the point, it becomes a little tricky to get into the space of is Adobe Reader working the way as it is expected to be. That comes into the ambit of Adobe Reader itself. However, as part of your packaging process from, let's say, an EXE to an MSI, once the MSI is created, and to test the entire repackaging process and to ensure that all the system changes during the repackaging process is done and captured into the MSI, you would like to have some kind of confidence to say that the application installed fine, I'm able to launch the application. And as very important step, is that when it is uninstalled, okay, it is actually uninstalling and it is not leaving tons of residue, or and uh, it is failing to uninstall, leaving the application, leaving the operating system or the entire machine in a dilemma, right? So this is a particular feature that we have implemented in 2024 R1, where you'll be able to test a package for three certain operations: installing an application, launch an application, just to ensure that this has launched successfully, and also uninstalled successfully. There's a new option available in the Analyze tab in AdminStudio, where the results of the functional testing from the VM where it is actually being run are cascaded down, so that you'll be able to view the results as well. And as usual, we are always on top of the compatibility rules that are available for Windows 11 builds. And the current rules, I think they're being published in November. And as soon as they're available in the pre-release build, currently they're available in the pre-release builds, and these compatibility rules will also be included for you in the Q4 2024 release. Moving on to automation, we continue to pound on the automation functionality in AdminStudio. Any requests on automation, feel free to drop in the Q&A section, and we'll be happy to take them as feedback and look at the possibility of implementing them. In the first step here, we have the automation support for extended attributes. I'm surprised that we didn't have it so far, but happy to include that in the product. So the extended attributes now have automation support via PowerShell, and Mike, if I'm wrong, correct me here, but I think we should also have support for REST API.
I believe that's the case, yes.
Okay. All right. And so that's the first item that we have in I think, again, this is in our R1 release, I believe. And the second item that we have is around an improved functionality for the monitor directory, right? So we have something called a monitor directory, which is like a directory which is always being monitored for continued automation for your packaging process. Whether you want to prepare your packages, whether you want to include an additional step of importing into it, prepare your packages of including that, ensuring that you want to repackage it, edit with a certain transform file and whatnot, and then actually want to publish it to your SCCM or Intune systems. But what happens is the monitor directory could just be a drop-in location sometimes, and it might require a periodic cleanup. At the same time, you'd also not want to delete the packages or lose track of what the packages are and where they are, right? So there is an additional option in the monitor directory to copy the packages into a specific location before they're actually picked up by the automation, right? So there are a couple of options here. Either you can choose to move the package that is being dropped or copy it to a specific location, so that you can have your own set of operations that run on the monitor directory to keep it clean or to keep it in a particular hierarchy. And then for the actual dropped packages, you can look at them at the reference location of the location that you've given for either moving or copying the packages. Moving on to the next item that we implemented this year is automation without running AdminStudio, right? So sometimes it sounds so silly that AdminStudio has to be open for any of the automations to run. Either I'm running a PowerShell commandlet or a REST API. The AdminStudio client need not necessarily be open. So we have implemented taking this feedback that, hey, I really do not want AdminStudio to be running all the time, and automation should just be picking up in a service, and then uh, service that leverages AdminStudio, but then my script should just be able to run. So we implemented a backend service that keeps running and hears to any automation requests coming in from scripts, and would be able to cascade them to a service and respond to the scripts, and the scripts should be able to run from anywhere. So this eliminates the need of running the AdminStudio client on new machines. A small but nifty item. The next item is an automation support for downloading from PFM. I think I should have clarified this a little more. I think we do have the PowerShell commandlet, I believe, for downloading from PFM. I think the REST API support for downloading is missing, and we've now included the support for downloading a particular package from package with module. So this is not yet released. I think this is currently planned for the upcoming release in Q4 of 24. The next item is support or increasing talks to our commitment about PowerShell AMP deploy kit. We want to ensure that the PowerShell wrapped packages are supported in all configurations. So another configuration that I think we missed is the zero config deployment. We now have support for the zero config deployment, where the PowerShell wrapped packages will be auto-populated with the app model properties. So this is one more important functionality that is coming in for Q4 24. Moving on to the next section that we have is around the package feed module. So, for those who haven't heard about it, package feed module is our library of all the latest packages that you can download from the internet and process them within AdminStudio without having to do your own research. So this includes the latest versions of the applications that we continue to track. At the same time, help you with curated set of command line arguments, so that you don't have to explore them over the internet as to how to get the command line packages, which help you with your repackaging automation. It also includes certain icons as well to properly identify your packages. And a lot of metadata is available as part of the package feed. So we continue to improve on our support for package feed module. One of the critical improvements is the ability to handle compressed packages, or could be in some cases this could be a compressed package, like a zip file or a format that is not a direct MSI, or it could just be a bootstrap setup as well. If you get that, if the incoming package is just a bootstrap setup, we currently do not support the package to be directly installed with the command line argument that is available from our package feed. So with this, what we would do is we would go ahead and uncompress the package and make it available in AdminStudio, so that the command line is properly applied and helps you with the subsequent steps in the automation. The next step we have, the next item we had in the package feed module is PowerShell wrapping support for MSIX package. Apologize for this. This doesn't belong in this section, but we have in the automation section, I would say that PowerShell wrapping support is now available for the MSIX packages. In addition to the existing support for MSI and EXE, we also now have the wrapping for MSIX packages. And on package feed module, one of the other items we're currently exploring, though this is a planned item for Q4, we're looking at how we can accelerate this particular feature. Uh, you know, though we claim to have certain number of packages available in package feed module, there'll always be a use case or a scenario where you run into a package that is not available in our collection or in our library, right? In those cases, the typical workflow works like, hey, you reach out to us via support, raise a support case, and we validate whether the request is valid or not, whether the package is available in public internet, whether we're able to actually determine the install command line and all of that, and then respond to you via the support conversation, and ensure that this package is either you get the feedback or add the package directly to our package feed and make you aware during the support conversation. However, we have noticed that this is seen as a little bit frictional for our users, and users would like to have some kind of a in-app support for this entire processing of the requests. So we're currently exploring an option where you'll be able to submit requests directly from within AdminStudio to say, hey, you know what, foobar is not available in your collection, and I'm looking for foobar 1.0 or foobar 2.0, and you can submit a request right within AdminStudio, and we'll be able to receive those requests, process the requests, and send you feedback whether that particular request is accepted or rejected, or it is completed as well, right? So we're working on this, and hopefully in Q4 of 24, we'll be able to deliver this functionality within AdminStudio. And the last item is the ability to update the command line properties for an application to all future versions. So this is one particular nifty, it seems like a very small item, but it might save a lot of effort for the users. Imagine you're using foobar 2.2 from the package feed, and you have a set of command line options that are presented to you. However, you have customized them. Like, for example, it says suppress reboot, and for the MSI, but then you said no, I do not want to suppress reboot, and you have eliminated suppress reboot, or the other way around, where you did not include the suppress reboot, but you wanted to include the suppress reboot. And for the same application family, for the next version, you want to ensure that the same customization is applicable, right? So in those cases, you would have to, whenever there's a new version released and you're importing it from PFM or package module, you would have to go and edit these packages. Now there's a small nifty option where you can happily say that apply this customization for all future versions, so that the same command line is now cascaded down to the next version of the package. Again, I would ask the same thing in case you have any feedback on similar functionalities or similar use cases where you'd like to say, hey, one version I had this particular option, I'd like to cascade a different app model property to future versions of the same package. Drop in the comment section or the Q&A section, and we're happy to take a look at it. So this is a wrap of 2024, November 2024, and we are close to another release and the final release of 2024. And we're happy to share that all of this functionality is now available in AdminStudio, or will be available in AdminStudio in 2024. Mike, can you go to the next slide, please?
Sure can.
Next one again.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk quickly about how automation can be done via AdminStudio. Not talk about this month's topic. However, I just wanted to set some kind of a preamble about how a typical packaging processes look. Right, and I don't want to bore down the details, but it's important for us to understand where and how AdminStudio can actually help you with some automating or remove a lot of these repetitive steps, right? Next one, please. All right, so it typically starts with any packaging process typically starts with the discovery process, right? I mean, it could be as simple as a colleague asking for, hey, I'd like this particular software to be included in your environment, in my environment, Typically, it is a little more formal, though. Might involve a workflow tool for receiving requests. It could be an ITSM tool. It could be another dedicated, workflow tool which says an application request coming in from a department or a particular individual, right? And it might also be including, this process might include identifying newer versions of an existing application, and then somebody trying to going, the packaging engineer typically going and finding out, hey, is this available on internet? Do I have, does my company actually have the license for this particular item? And then identifying from a particular source and everything, right? Mike, next one, please. And then, once you have discovered, passed the discovery phase, which is, I've identified the package, I've gotten a request, I've identified the package, I know that it's available, I know that I have the license for this, and I know that I can download this. Maybe there is a, some kind of a security check for it, and all of that is done, and then I'm ready to actually, get into the next phase of, preparing my package, right? So this is where, it might typically require, or optionally require a repackaging process if, depending on the organization's appetite for doing this, or maybe not in some cases, right? Some organizations might be just okay, running an exe file. Some organizations might be saying, no, what, MSIs are standard and everything has to be deployed in MSI standard. So that's why we say, we always say that, optionally requires this particular phase of the process would optionally require a, repackaging process. And sometimes you would want to go ahead and fine tune the package, edit an MSI with install shield or any other tool set, and then say, what, I want to change this particular item, I want to change the manufacturer, I want to go digitally sign this, I want to go add a small or replace a file with something else and repackage it again, right? So there could be several properties of the application itself that like to modify, okay, either by directly editing the MSI or just changing the app model properties. Manufacturer property is missing during the discovery process, sure, go ahead and add the or edit the manufacturer, right? So it might include a step to update or fine tune the package. And sometimes you'd want to add a customization step to it, right? The most classical example that I know of is Adobe Reader shows you a EULA dialog upon launch, and you want to suppress it for all users because it's a noise for all users. And then at an organization level, I'm taking care of it, and you can add a transform file and then say suppress this particular item by including a registry key value to say true or false, right? It might also include the additional customization or additional automation with respect to wrapping around in a PowerShell script, right? So if you're using a the PowerShell kit, or to wrap a package with the PowerShell app deploy kit. Can go to the next one. And once the package is prepared, right? I mean, now you're very close to going ahead and deploying it to your endpoint management system, or and deploying it to your endpoint management system. But before that, you'd want to ensure that the package that is prepared, it actually works, right? Actually works in your environment, actually works in the latest Windows 11 or in the Windows Server environments. So in addition to the classical testing capabilities that we have, I think you might also want to do a little bit of a smoke testing on the application with respect to install or uninstall, and just launch the application and see whether it is crashing or just launching, right? And then you also want to go ahead and look at the results as well, and then see these are the set of results, set of tests that I have run, and here is how they have fared. The last one, Mike. Yeah, and the last step is simple publish and deploy, right? You're all set. You have discovered the package, you have identified the package where it can be downloaded from, latest versions available or not. You have prepared your package, you have ensured that it's ready to be deployed, and the last step remaining is go ahead and deploy to the endpoint management software. Just could be Intune, Workspace ONE, or configuration manager during the journey, or if there is any new endpoint management system that you work with. Again, as usual, please drop in your comments. Happy to explore those ecosystems. And this is where I keep talking about the system, the step about optionally trying to deploy it to the system directly, rather than just publish it to the system, and then a different user might come into the system and then says, hey, I would like to deploy it to the endpoints. Now, if you think about the previous 4 or 5 steps that we talked about, right? Some of these steps during the process might get a lot repetitive, right? Though I have come up with only a few of them here, I'm sure there'll be tons of steps during these processes that could actually turn out to be repetitive, right? Like for example, I want to repackage every incoming request into a specific format. My org, has defined MSIX, as the golden standard. I don't think that is true, but for the sake of discussion, we can say that MSIX is the standard I'd want to choose, right? So everything that is incoming, I'd want to repackage it into a particular format, and once it is done, I'd like to do some testing on it as well. So I'd like to monitor a specific directory, right? So that it gels well with my other request processes where somebody's gathering the request, doing the discovery process and dropping it into a particular location, so that I want a tool set to go ahead and look at that particular directory and then follow a series of steps that I say that do it to prepare the package for deployment, right? And that's the next one, which is a series of steps in a particular sequence that before getting published or deployed to be followed in during the packaging process. And and we talked about this customization options. I have similar customization that I like to apply for all my packages. Like for example, all Adobe Reader, okay, there's a standard MST file. Go ahead and apply them, right? Or I'd like to alter the MSI command lines, used to include a special switch that I have. Go ahead, you can do that. And I'd like to digitally sign all the MSIX packages before getting deployed with a with my own certificate. I want to re-sign whatever it is there because I have actually repackaged it. So obviously I lost the original signing on that. So now I want to digitally sign all the packages that I'm converting to MSIX. And sometimes I'd want to do some batch processing on all of these, bulk processing and all of these, right? So all of these steps might get a lot more repetitive during your packaging processes. And in 2024 I'd be surprised if nobody is actually looking at options to actually automate these processes. So I'm gonna now hand off to Mike here to talk about how AdminStudio or we can help you with the options to automate these repetitive steps that we could think of.
Yep. Thanks, Venkat. So when it comes to automation inside of AdminStudio, we kind of have two different approaches, and it's for different use cases for different users, and we wanted to make them as most accessible to all of our AdminStudio users as we could. So I'll speak to actually the second point, the built-in automation. If you have AdminStudio, either professional or enterprise, they have the ability to create these package automation workflows. So it's all configured and set up in the UI. And you can assign applications. You can create different workflows because those repetitive steps that Venkat mentioned, you may want to do one of those steps for some applications, other steps for others, or certain steps you want to do for everything. So you have the ability to create different workflows and apply different automation to those applications. Those steps include, importing it into a catalog. So the application catalog in AdminStudio is a SQL database, either locally or running in the cloud. And you can import your applications, and this is kind of your workspace for preparing apps. And those applications could come from our own package feed, which is our own repository of 7,000 plus installer packages. It's getting updated every day from several hundred different vendors. We can provide AdminStudio lists, and it can download it because we can't, I need to download it first to do anything, but it can all be centralized and done within AdminStudio. And then you can layer additional steps on top of it. So after you've downloaded it, you may want to run through that testing that Venkat mentioned. We do some Windows 11, and we'll have the latest soon, the compatibility testing, Java dependencies. Is it a Java app? And if so, what version does it need? And what it doesn't include its runtime environment, MSIX suitability, some other virtualization testing too, some best practice testing. We can have that just integrated as part of the testing process, so you can review that. Wrapping of applications. More and more folks we talk to, like the old days of repackaging everything that's not already an MSI. A few folks still do that, and if it works for you, great. But most would rather just take what the vendors provided you and work with that as much as possible. But an EXE that has silent command line switches is awesome, but if I can't further configure it beyond what the command line switches do, I need to add an extra registry key after it's installed, or a file to have it configured or licensed correctly. There's no equivalent for a transform file for an EXE, but with wrapping, especially things like using the PowerShell app deploy toolkit wrappers, you can add that additional pre or post installation configuration for you. So we want to make that easy, and it's not hard to do once you get the hang of it, but if we can shrink even something that takes you 10, 15 minutes down to 10 seconds with wrapping, we want to be able to do that. Conversion into different other formats, we'd be app virtualization like MSIX, or if you're going to Intune, you have to, if it's not an MSI or MSIX package, it's got to go into a Intune WinWrapper. So to be able to just include that as part of the process too, and then handing it off to your distribution system of choice. Ones include, Microsoft Intune has become more and more popular, which is where that Intune wrapper comes from. Config Manager is still heavily used, and other distribution systems too. You want to be able to set all that up. So it's all about taking that process that NCAT had up here before, right? Discovery of the applications, preparing them, testing, deploying them, and finding where in that process can we shave off some time. We're still going through it. We're still going through all the steps. We're not skipping anything, but are there certain steps within those overall phases where we can have a solution like an AdminStudio to just do it for you, automatically know what to download and discover that, and have the silent command line switches and detection method information, being able to automatically wrap applications or apply a transform file to it automatically, running through various testing to know up front, is this ready to go, so I don't have to do a lot of post configuration or redeployments later, and then making it easy so it's staged up and ready to go in your various deployment systems. We're trying to shave off some time every single one of these steps in order to get the same result, but to be able to do a lot easier, a lot faster, and hands off. So you're the team that's working on preparing packages. Many of them I talk to, that's not their only job. They've got other stuff they've got to go to do. So being able to free up some of their time so they can work on other managing the environment is always a plus. So that's the built-in automation steps. You can set that out of the box, set that up with workflows. We can take in, as mentioned, the package feed. If you have that as it's an add-on license to AdminStudio, but if you have access to that, we can provide AdminStudio lists, and it'll go through and download those. But you can also supplement that with what's called monitor directories, where you've got an internal file drop, basically for a file share, where your folks are dropping off installer packages, internally developed apps, more niche, obscure applications. Those don't always make it into the patch catalogs and update catalogs and other places. But if you want to be able to supplement, something like a package feed with what you have internally, you'd be able to do that with monitor directories. So either wherever it's coming from, you can apply those same automation workflows and have those pulled in. And then, for the kind of the power users or folks that need to, those steps are nice. That's probably kind of the 80-20 rule, covers probably 80% of the folks and their needs. But if you have certain other needs, you want to integrate other capabilities in between those processes or do certain things, you always have access in the Enterprise Edition to a series of PowerShell commandlets, which you can pretty much do anything you can do in the UI in AdminStudio. There's an equivalent PowerShell script. So if you're good at PowerShell, you can have a script that calls AdminStudio that could wrap it in PowerShell. So, PowerShell running AdminStudio that runs PowerShell, or all the other tasks that it was mentioned: importing, testing, wrapping, converting to virtual or Intune Win, and publishing to various different distribution systems. So there's PowerShell commandlets, and there's a growing list of REST APIs as well. So if you want to have a web service or a IT asset management solution, call AdminStudio and add, packages and make these calls, you have that ability as well. So it's got the built-in automation workflows that you can build out of the box in just a matter of minutes. And then you've got the more PowerShell REST APIs that, what you're doing, you can really build out a whole automation engine above and beyond, leveraging AdminStudio for that. So just a kind of review of the packaging backlog. So when we say packaging backlog, sometimes it's the queue. It's kind of managing the applications under you as an IT admin, end user computing, desktop engineer. The applications that are under your purview and your management. So it's how best to manage those. So as I said, active management by IT, keeping apps updated. Always knowing, hey, is there a new release of Adobe Reader or Chrome? Seems to be there's a new one every week almost. Be able to know when there's a new release, where to get it, and to be able to customize it. And a lot of the things is that you have to apply the same customizations every single time, whether it be a transform file or a wrapper. And so it's not necessarily difficult work because you've done the research already, but it's repetitive. And if we've already done this the first time, can we retain that information and reuse it again and again? So that's what the automation with AdminStudio allows you to do. There you go. Creating transform files. So in AdminStudio for package feed module applications that are MSIs, you can create transform files for them. And you likely know you have to create a new transform file for every new version that comes out. We have a wizard that presents all the most common parameters that you would set in a given application, and we'll create the transform file with those settings applied, and then we'll remember those settings. So every single time there's a new release, there's a new transform file. AdminStudio already knows what to do, creates it for you. You don't have to create the transform file yourself each and every time. Retaining command line switches, especially for non-MSIs. MSI command lines are pretty straightforward, but EXEs, different installer technologies use different switches. There's different parameters you can pass into it depending on what the vendor set up. So being able to AdminStudio with the package fee would give you kind of the default standard silent switches, so it runs silently, but you may want to add to it. Again, we can retain those switches, those customizations that you add. So when the next version, we apply those same switches again. And wrapper scripts too, is be able to start with a template that has all the customizations that you want to provide, and then be able to reapply that and reuse those every single time for new applications, and leverage things like the extended attributes, which are fields inside the AdminStudio application catalog that can have things that, relevant information that you may want to use as part of your wrapper can be quite easily added to it and pulled in. So again, less that needs to be done manually and individually. And then provide some status. AdminStudio can talk to an SMTP server and basically send an email out saying, hey, I just downloaded these 10 applications, updated them, and they're ready to go in the catalog. They've run through their automation. And if that automation includes they're already up in our distribution system of choice, ready to go, then it can take it from that whole end to end. And that email could be an email distribution group, could be a Slack channel or Teams channel or anything else that has an email address that you can message. So that's how kind of we set up the backlog, and you may add apps over time, but once you kind of set it up and do it the first time, then AdminStudio can learn from that and reuse it and reuse that knowledge each and every time. Cool. I think with that, we're going to some Q&A, and I do see a few questions in the chat, so kick this off.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, I can go through them and let me know, Venkat, if you want to answer, or I can go through it too. So the first one was about. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, no, you go ahead, man.
Okay. One question. It's a bit long, and I'll try my best to summarize it. And if I didn't get it right, then that person can answer follow-up questions if you like. Looking for a Flexera tool, but they said not AdminStudio. So we do have other solutions at AdminStudio around the enterprise application lifecycle, right? So AdminStudio sits at the beginning kind of and helps you with discovering or knowing which applications or preparing those applications, but knowing what your environment looks like and what applications need updates because of their end of life or their security vulnerabilities, or for other reasons, or they've been supplanted by another application. We have a lot of tools around that. So you want to understand how to manage Intune. AdminStudio does publish into Intune natively. So if it's about publishing applications up to Intune and making them available. And we can add the assignments as Venkat covered earlier. So not only can we publish the app up into Intune, but also make those group assignments so those applications potentially could auto deploy after that case. So, and then there's some questions about different licensing models and how to license applications. So we do have other solutions at Flexera that specifically help with software and IT asset management. So those systems can tie into that. And so hopefully that helps answer it. But if not, feel free to answer a follow-up.
Let me add a follow
Yeah.
add to what you have answered, Mike. I think what you said is spot on. So, to specifically this question about, can AdminStudio be used to, patch, driver vulnerabilities? Though this is not the primary use case, that AdminStudio is built for, and there are other, Flexera tools that are perfect for this, particular, problem. So, AdminStudio, if you go to, if you, try to map it to the, process that we talked about, okay, so AdminStudio can absolutely help you prepare the patch, right?
Right.
Help you say, I got a 1.1 version of this, okay, or 1.0.1 version of this, which remediates the vulnerability in the previous version, which is 1.0.0, right? And then if you're asking in tune, okay, right, the answer is absolutely yes, right, which is, hey, you can actually go ahead and use AdminStudio as, a patching tool as well. But, we would also maintain at the same time, it also maintain that, we will not be going through the discovery phase of, identifying whether 1.0.0 has a vulnerability. You would still have to rely on another, tool set itself to say, there is an issue with 1.0.0, to what Mike has said, it could be a problem with security problem, or it could be a problem with obsolescence, that this particular version is completely out of end of life, and I'd like to upgrade to the latest and greatest, which could be 4.2 or 5.2. Thanks Mike, for that. And let me take the one question. I think there's a question on how is Flexera planning to integrate Winget and store apps into AdminStudio. I know this particular user. Feel free to reach out to me. I'd like to understand the use case a little more, and work with you on getting this into AdminStudio, as long as it fits into the the processing steps, processing steps of the packaging process. We're happy to look into why Winget cannot be an option to for another store of applications that can be pulled into AdminStudio. Right? As such, there is a very outright answer to say, hey, you know what, you can actually do that with your own command line options, coming in from Winget, and combine it with the entire automation prowess coming provided by AdminStudio. However, we'd like to see how AdminStudio can provide out of the box support for it. But let's talk more on understanding the use case more, so that we build the right system.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for this question. Winget is close to my heart, and I've been following Winget for a long time now. And I strongly believe that it has the capability to, get all Windows applications under one roof and one umbrella. And the catalog is actually growing by the day. So it makes total sense for us to integrate with a system like Winget. Yeah, go ahead, Mike, I think, if you want to add something.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, so being a package store, right, we do have our own repository of applications that are constantly getting updated, and that's the package feed. But with Winget, I believe there's a download command that you can tell it to just download and not necessarily install the package. And then if you do that, you can point to a directory and use AdminStudio and the monitor directory to pull packages in and apply the same level of automation. So while, as Venkat said, we want to learn more about it to see if we want to add some direct integration with it. But there would be a way to integrate Winget packages in that method if you wanted to. Cool.
All right, Mike, do you want to take the training question?
Yeah. So the question about, do we have training available? How do you there's a lot of capabilities in AdminStudio, of course, and want to be able to get up to speed quickly. So we do have a partner, TLux Group, letter T as in you drink tea, and Lux, Lux, and they're based out of the UK, but they have availability and training in the US and other places too. But yeah, we've partnered with them. They're actually a lot of former Flexera consultants themselves, and they've been doing AdminStudio for probably 15 years at this point. So we do have training available. That's something you can go either through Flexera on, and work with them on that, or you can go to TLux direct. But in either case, they hold public classes, I think several times a year. where you can join and learn AdminStudio in under a week. If you have enough available folks that you want to learn more about AdminStudio within your organization, you can do a private class, and that way you can change the syllabus and kind of meet your needs, do more of this, learn more about the package feed module, for example, and the automation, and less of transform creation, because you guys already know that stuff, whatever that is. They'll do mentoring, kind of help you set up a configuration. So they're a great resource to have. So definitely can reach out to them.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah,
I'll take this one. I think there's a question on the activation itself. Is it still preferred to activate AdminStudio on a virtual device? We have our app catalog on the Azure virtual server, and it will be useful to move US to that device and activate. Absolutely, I don't think there is anything that's preventing you to move your AdminStudio to a cloud device, as long as it depends on the activation model that you have. If you have a model of deployment, or your provisioning of the devices in Azure where the physical address keeps changing, okay, we would suggest a concurrent license server model, okay, where there is a license server that is serving the licenses, and if the device changes, device physical address changes, you would still be able to continue working on AdminStudio. But if you are on a node lock license and your organization mandates or has a policy to have the device's physical address to keep changing, then it would not be a preferred choice. So feel free to again talk to us. We'll happy to suggest you a good way to host AdminStudio in Azure and work like a typical device, typical VM machine.
Yeah. And to add to that, we do have native support for Azure SQL Service as a method to store your application catalog, the database that we were talking about. So if you wanted to move in essence, your lab environment into Azure, we do support Azure SQL Service to host the database, the catalog, as well as we support Azure virtual machines for runtime testing that Venkat mentioned, as well as automatically repackaging to MSI and MSIX and some other methods. So we are Azure native to that environment. So you could certainly host AdminStudio in an Azure workspace. Cool.
Is there a way to get demo environment of AdminStudio 24? Seems a lot of features. Yeah. I think it's a free available. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a 14-day evaluation that's available, or reach out to your Flexera account manager, and they can hook you up with the link for download, and you can run that, install that. It's 14 days from when you install it, and you can set up a catalog. Azure or Microsoft SQL Express, the free edition, works great for an eval, so you can set up a catalog and test that up. And we do have 6 applications of our 7,000 plus from our package feed available to you as well, so you can actually try that out and evaluate that too.
All right. It's an interesting question here. Hi, do you see the app deploy toolkit ever become a user interface tool? This is a question on the roadmap of the application app deploy toolkit itself. I really cannot speak to it, but at this point of time, I think we focus more on complementing app deploy toolkit rather than we trying to build something on our own. And we do not envision AdminStudio to have additional UI interface options to support or complement this, but hey, if app deploy toolkit actually goes into that space, we absolutely love that and appreciate that.
Yeah, and the end user experience, right? You can provide your end users with an experience to say, hey, it's about to install this application. Do you want to defer it? So if the question is more related around that, it provides that capability today. But yeah, as package feed module develops and grows, I think we'll grow along with that too, and their support. And there was a question about, I was going to say, supporting some other distribution systems like Avanti. We don't have a direct out-of-the-box support for Avanti, but we do have the ability to extend our support for deployment systems to really anything. There's the idea of a custom distribution connector that you can create, And AdminStudio can do two things with that. One, you provide the root folder for where you want to have packages published to. So you provide the root and it'll create a subfolder under that. And then you can provide it a custom PowerShell script that does whatever you want it to do. So if you wanted it to call your distribution system to, hey, I just dropped it off here, go ahead and consume it and take it in from there. You can certainly do that with a custom PowerShell script, and as long as your deployment system supports those APIs. If there's more need, we're always open also for product enhancements and suggestions. We'd have our ideas page on our community. So if you're looking for something we don't currently support, feel free to suggest it there. It's probably a good segue to our community, right? So we have a active forum, we have blog posts, we have videos for self-taught learning, a lot of different videos available, and that includes the ideas page. So feel free to check that out. Just AdminStudio or flexera.com/community, I think, and it'll take you from there. All right. Obviously, we're interested in what we want to hear. So one of the forum posts we have is if you have ideas for future forums like this, want to be able to cover the topics and suggestions that everyone else wants to hear. So please check that out. Go to our community and find the forum link and post there. Anything else you want to add, Venkat?
No, I think it's a great discussion. Thanks a lot, Mike, for joining me today. And thanks a lot to everybody who has joined us. And happy to take all these questions. And so glad that you had an engaging session today. And we have another session planned in Q1. Okay, so dates yet not to be discussed and to be decided. But please join and continue our discussions.
Yeah, we won't make you go back in time either. We'll do it in 2025. So we'll see you in next quarter.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.